What's up, guys? Nuance Bro checking in, and today is election day. We're going to be talking about the election, the results. Can we expect the results on election night? Are we going to know the winner? Which states are we going to find the results from the earliest? Which states are probably going to take longer than others? So we're going to go into all of that today. Also, before we start, I will be streaming the election results live tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. So be sure to tune into that. And of course, if you want to support the channel, nuancebro.com/join. You get to join our exclusive Discord server and you get access to exclusive clips. So will we find out the results to this election on election night? Well, it really depends. So if it's a close race, we probably won't know for multiple days, especially if it relies on the results of certain states like Pennsylvania. But let's go through the list of most of the sort of close or toss-up states and see what we can expect. So this is an article from 538. This is Nate Silver's website where they go over all the polling statistics and things like that. And they put out an article called When to Expect Election Results in Every State. And here we can see a color-coded map of the United States based on how soon we can expect the election votes to be counted. And we can see in states like Florida and Hawaii, South Carolina, Delaware, that nearly all of the votes will be counted by election night. In these lighter green squares, most but not all votes will be counted by election night. And in these very light green states, we can see that only some of the votes will be counted by the end of election night. So let's take the close and toss-up states and go state by state. So starting with Arizona, we can see that most votes should be counted on election night, but full results may take a few days. Early and absentee votes cast by the weekend before the election should be pre-counted, and those results are expected to be released shortly after 10 p.m. And of course, election day votes are also expected to be announced on election night. Now, as far as a shift in results, while we view the results of this election, we can expect early on for the mail-in ballots for it to be mostly in the Democratic direction. And if there's a shift later on, it'll probably be in the Republican direction as the in-person votes come in. But we can see it also warns that it can shift back towards Democrats in the days after the election as the last few absentee ballots are tallied. So Florida is a true swing state. It's very close in Florida, according to the polls and what we've been seeing. And luckily, the results will be pretty fast, faster than pretty much any of the other swing states. Florida is allowed to process absentee ballots weeks in advance, and they don't accept most ballots that come after Election Day, even if it's postmarked before Election Day. So we could find out the results of this election pretty early on. If Trump loses Florida, it's pretty much over, but we can find out if he wins fairly quickly, especially if it's not that close. And as far as shift in results, once again, with the absentee ballots, we can expect that the shift will be in the Democrats' direction early on, and then with in-person voting, the shift will likely be towards the Republican side. So Georgia is also considered a swing state in this election based on the polls, and we can see Georgia should also be relatively quick as well. They started processing absentee ballots on October 19th, and much like Florida, they don't accept most ballots after Election Day, even if it's postmarked before the election. There's, of course, exceptions for military and overseas people and things like that. And as far as a shift in results, they say this one's a lot harder to say. Each county treats absentee votes differently, and with Democratic-leaning absentee votes being reported at different times throughout the state, it's possible we'll see some miniature red and blue shifts on the county level, which may cancel each other out statewide. Iowa is viewed as less of a swing state, but still generally considered as part of the swing states. It's leaning heavily in the Trump direction, it seems. But we can expect that most votes will be counted fairly quickly. Some will continue to trickle in after Election Day. Iowa is one of the states that allows ballots to be counted after Election Day as long as it's postmarked by Election Day. As far as a shift in results, late arriving ballots will probably skew Democratic, producing a blue shift in the days after November 3rd. So let's go to Michigan. This is a state that Trump won to the surprise of many in 2016. Most pollsters in 2020 are not expecting Michigan to go to Trump this time. But as far as the timing of the results, it's going to take a few days, according to 538. The earliest absentee ballots can be processed is November 2nd, just a day before the election. which likely does not leave enough time to count them all by election night. The Secretary of State estimates that it could take until Friday, November 6th for all ballots to be counted and a winner to be declared. And as far as the shift in results expectations, you can probably expect a shift towards Democrats in the days after the election. Minnesota last time was pretty close. Trump did not win Minnesota ultimately, but it was a lot closer than people were expecting. And as far as the timing of the results, most but not all results should be in on election night, with 2 weeks of advanced absentee ballot processing. So as far as the shift in results, any absentee votes counted after Election Day could cause results to shift in Democrats' favor. So Nevada is generally seen as being a Biden favorite state, although it's generally considered part of the group of swing, states that can swing either way. And as far as the timing of the results, they say, hard to say. Nevada is one of the handful of states that is mailing a ballot to every registered voter for the first time, and it is only requiring that ballots be mailed back by November 3rd, but not received by then. So again, as long as it's postmarked and mailed by Election Day, then you should be fine. So you can probably expect, if Democrats are leading in Nevada towards the end of the day, they'll probably win the state, but if it's close, maybe Republicans are ahead a little bit, then we'll probably have to wait longer as more of those ballots are counted after Election Day. So if it goes until after Election Day, you can probably expect more of a shift towards the Democrats. Again, like we've mentioned with other states, more of a move in their direction. North Carolina, another state that Trump won in 2016 that pollsters are expecting to go in Trump's direction very slightly. As far as the timing of the results, we can see initial results will come very fast, but the rest will take time. Election officials estimate that up to 80% of the total vote could be announced right after polls close at 7:30 p.m., including in-person early votes and all mail ballots received by November 2nd. But the in-person Election Day votes are expected to take a bit longer, as well as the absentee ballots that arrive as late as November 12th. So once again, it really depends how close the race is for us to find out the results of North Carolina. As far as the shift in results we can expect, the first dump of results, which will be entirely mail and early votes, will probably be too good to be true for Democrats. A red shift will likely occur as Election Day votes are reported. However, late arriving mail ballots may help Democrats claw their way back during the November 4th through 12th count. Ohio, which in 2016 went huge for Trump by about 9 points, but again is generally considered part of these swing states, and some promising polls have come out for Biden, although it's generally seen as a Trump favorite. Most results will be announced quickly, but we'll have to wait for the rest. By 8 p.m. Eastern, each county is required to announce the results of all absentee ballots, including early in-person votes, that were received by Election Day. Results from Election Day polling places will then follow throughout the night. And of course, for absentee ballots, they are counting all the ones that arrive by mail until November 13th, as long as they've been postmarked by Election Day. But even with all that, counties will report the number of outstanding absentee ballots late on Election Day, so we will know whether there are enough ballots remaining to affect the winner of the election. So if there aren't enough left by then, and let's say Trump is super ahead in the polls, then they can declare Ohio for Trump in that sort of scenario. Pennsylvania. So this is a big one, of course. This is considered possibly the most important state in the race. If Biden loses or Trump loses Pennsylvania, it could be all over for either candidate, although it would be much worse for Trump. Now, as far as timing of the results, Pennsylvania is expected to be probably one of the slowest states out there, even though it's one of the most important. It'll be slow going, although around half of Pennsylvanians are expected to vote absentee. Those ballots can't start being processed until 7 a.m. on November 3rd. So on Election Day, they can only start counting on Election Day for those absentee ballots. So it's going to take a while. Simply put, that's not enough time for many counties to count them all before the day is over. And then they give an example of Bucks County, which plans to count ballots 24 hours a day and still doesn't expect to be done until the end of the week. Some places aren't even going to try. Cumberland and Erie counties, for instance, say they won't count absentee ballots until they're done with Election Day votes, which could be as late as Wednesday morning. So Pennsylvania is one of those unique states where they're expecting quite a disproportionate number of votes that come in early to be very much Republican. And then after that, they're expecting a lot more of the Democrat votes to come in. So for the shift in results, we can see here, election night results are expected to be disproportionately made up of election day votes, which will probably skew Republican. Then as absentee ballots are counted in the ensuing days, the state will probably experience a blue shift. This is why a lot of pundits are worried that Donald Trump will prematurely declare Pennsylvania for himself and potentially even declare himself prematurely the winner of the race. So definitely watch out for that. Texas, which historically has not been considered a swing state, continues more and more to become more of a swing potential state, a purple state. We saw in 2018, Beto O'Rourke versus Senator Ted Cruz. Beto O'Rourke, the Democrat, was within about 2.5 percentage points of the Republican Senator Ted Cruz. So as Texas, people have been moving to Texas. It's becoming a little bit more blue over the years. It's generally considered now more of a swing state. So as far as the timing of the results, the bulk of the results will be known on election night. Early votes, election day votes, and thanks to a generous ballot processing window, absentee ballots received by 7 p.m. local time on November 3rd will all be counted that night, which should give us a pretty clear picture of the state of the races there. However, domestic absentee ballots are allowed to arrive as late as 5 p.m. local time on Wednesday, which could add a fair number of ballots to the hopper. As far as the shift in results, early on, it'll probably look good for Democrats since they disproportionately vote early. And then on election day, the Republicans come out, and then you'll probably see Republican gain from there. And then if later votes trickle in, those will probably favor the Democrats a little bit. Wisconsin, another state that was a bit of a surprise win in 2016 where Trump won by a small margin. Now, Wisconsin's an interesting one as far as how they process the ballots. So take a look at this. Timing results. It may take all night, but we should have all results by Wednesday morning. Despite not being able to process absentee ballots until Election Day, which originally stoked fears of a delayed count, many counties say they will be able to count everything on election night. Washington County plans to have all results by 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Kenosha, Sheboygan, and Fond du Lac by 1 a.m. Eastern, Waukesha County by 4 a.m. Eastern, and Milwaukee County sometime between 4 and 7 a.m. Eastern. The governor has predicted we will know the outcome of the election, hopefully that night and maybe at the latest the very next day. So as far as the shift in results, it's interesting because most municipalities count absentee and election day votes together, but others, including Milwaukee County, which is the big kahuna there, count them separately and may release absentee votes all at once towards the end of the night. So you could maybe see Trump up significantly in Wisconsin and be like, oh my God, like Trump is still up by like 3 or 4 points. And then immediately in like 5 seconds, the results could shift completely in the Democrats' direction. So these are definitely things to watch out for in Wisconsin. So that's pretty much most of the swing states. I mean, I know there's Maine and Nebraska and some of the districts there. Some might even say New Hampshire, but really those are probably not going to be that big of a determinant unless we get some sort of 269 scenario. Nobody has enough to win the full 270. Then we'll really have a race on our hands. But that's going to be it for the video today, guys. I hope you tune in to the Twitch stream later today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Social media links are in the description box below, as well as merch. Support us at nuancebro.com/join, and I'll see you next time, bro.